Hello everyone and welcome back to another Sensei series. Today we are looking at 8 ways to take your guitar playing to the next level. This stuff will be aimed at the intermediate player who already has a strong grasp of their instrument. Implementing these things won't happen overnight, these concepts take hours and hours of practice. But trust me, the hard work will pay off. Links to individual tips in the description, let's dive in. The first and maybe most important thing that I'll recommend is expand your musical vocabulary. At this point, I'm sure there are a number of things that you are quite competent at. In order to get to that next level, you need to reach outside your comfort zone. By doing so, you'll gain a deeper understanding of music, as well you'll become a more versatile and well-rounded player. When I'm talking about vocabulary, I'm referring to the stuff that you can do on guitar, the techniques you use, the phrases you go to, the chords, the rhythms you often find yourself using. To expand this, you want to listen to and absorb as much diverse music as possible. From there, start learning and analyzing the stuff that you gravitate towards. Maybe that happens to be, say, Mozart. Learn a couple of his sonatas, note for note, and then try composing something inspired by him. Elements of this music will seep into your subconscious and come out when you go to play your chosen genre. Remember, no great musician got to where they are by closing their ears. Next up on our list is something more precise: work on transposing. At this point, you should have a decent understanding of basic theory and how musical keys work. If not, I've got a video for you on that very subject. Link is in the description. Being able to play the same song in different keys or transposing is valuable for a number of reasons. Different musicians, especially singers, have certain keys that work better for their voices. If you want to be a session player, you need to be able to adapt your playing to fit their style. Many times, if I had to transpose a song at the last minute, sometimes even on stage right before we started playing. On top of this, transposing is a great exercise for understanding the guitar neck, and practicing is simple. Take a song you know, say it's in the key of G, then play it in B flat, then try it in D. At first, it'll take time to think through the change. Write it out if you need to. The more you do it, the faster you'll get. Tip number 3 ties into this concept: play things in different places on the guitar neck. Guitar is unique and also difficult because there are many places I can play the same note. If I'm playing piano, there is only one middle C. Guitar, not so much. The general layout of the instrument is tricky, and it's something we need to master if we want to take our playing to the next level. A great way to build a mental map of the guitar is take a lick you know and play it in as many different places as possible. You'll pick up patterns and see how the different positions relate to each other. Let's do an example. Here's a simple blues lick. I can play those exact same notes in a number of different places. See, when you go to make music, you want to have a seamless connection between what you hear in your head and what comes out of your instrument. By mastering the guitar neck, you have one less thing standing between you and your creativity. Tip number 4, change up the rhythm of your solo phrases. Less advanced guitar players will often play into common and predictable rhythmic tendencies. Things like playing one idea for 4 bars, another idea for the next 4 bars, and another idea for the last 4 bars. It's much more interesting to break up those 12 bars in a less obvious way. Maybe you develop one idea for 5 bars, another idea for 3, and something else for the last 4. Alternatively, if you always start and end your phrases on the same beat, it's going to sound dull. Likewise, if you always use the same rhythms. By working on tip 1, expanding your vocabulary, you'll develop a better sense of this. But also try recording yourself, transcribing that recording, and analyzing it. It's much easier to see your tendencies when it's written out in front of you. Next up, let's talk about rhythm guitar. Number 5, work on chord voicings. Guitar is more often than not an accompanying instrument. Besides solos and intro riffs, our role is usually to lay down the harmony that the melody lies on top of. And since we spend so much time fulfilling this role, it's important to work on our use of chords. In the early stages of our guitar playing, we see a chord progression and simply play the chords we know that correspond with them. But as you advance, I want you to think more about this. There are many different ways that we can play a chord, be it different voicings and versions and the like. For example, these are all ways that I could play a G chord. When I'm playing rhythm, I try to create added support with my chord choices. I may pick voicings that outline the melody. For example, say I have this melody. Then I have the chords G for 1.5 bars, C for 0.5 bar, and D for 1 bar. I might try to make the top note correspond with the melody like this. Alternatively, maybe I'll create a counter melody. There's no exact formula here, but you'll add a new dimension to your rhythm work if you're aware of this. How you implement it is up to you. Number 6, break out of the pentatonic box. When many of us first start soloing, we're taught the pentatonic scale and told to go to town. There's a lot of mileage you can get from this tactic, but by expanding beyond a blanket scale approach, you can really spice up your solos. I've talked about this concept in great depth on my video about modes. You know where to find the link. One of the biggest steps I made as a musician was learning to see the guitar neck in chord tones. Every note I play, I know how it relates to the underlying chord. If I'm playing over, say, an A7, I know that this note is the 3rd, this is the flat 3rd, the 5, the 13, the flat 7, the root, and so on. If the chord underneath changes to, say, a D7, the relationship between those notes and the new chord also changes. This is now the flat 7, the major 7, the 9, the major 3rd, the 11, the 5, and so on. By understanding this, we can outline the harmony, adding depth to our solos. Again, my videos on modes are a great place to start if you're interested in this stuff. Next up on our list, number 7, work on groove. Groove is a bit of an ambiguous term. It means a generally good rhythmic feeling. This is what separates amateurs from the pros. Good groove just makes music feel so much better. It's why an AC/DC cover band can play all the same notes, but they'll never sound like the real thing. So how do we work on this? First of all, implement a metronome as much as possible, but also practice as many different feels as you can. Try jamming along to a blues track, a funk track, learn a reggae rhythm, metal, everything and anything. The more ways that you can feel music, the better that everything you play will sound. Another great way to improve your groove is play with other musicians with solid feel. And last on our list for today is analyze music using both the brain and the ear. Cognitively breaking down music makes it significantly easier to implement things that we hear in our own music. At the same time, it's equally, if not more important, to be aware of how things sound. For example, say I'm listening to music and I'm particularly drawn to a part of the melody where a ninth is held out over an underlying minor chord. If I understand what's going on, I can make an effort to use that sound in my own compositions. This starts with a firm understanding of theory. Again, I've done a number of videos on that subject. I'll put links in the description. It also goes hand in hand with ear training, which I've discussed before. Link in the description. Ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. 8 ways to take your guitar playing to the next level. This may seem like a lot of stuff to work on, and it is. Don't expect to conquer this overnight. Make sure when you're practicing, you're finding fun ways to do it. There really is no end goal with music, so you gotta make sure you enjoy the journey. And to let me know you made it all the way through this video, why don't you leave me a comment letting me know what you think is holding you back on guitar. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you're new here, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I do a whole whack of music related content here with new videos Mondays and Thursdays. I'd love it if you stuck around. I'm Samurai Guitarist. Thank you again for watching, and I will see you soon.